Welcome back to Sleeping with History. Today, we're going to be going over the life of an outlaw pirate, going from childhood all the way until their cruel deaths. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and let me know where you're watching from. Pirate legends usually begin with treasure maps and roaring cannons, but the truth starts much earlier, in places far quieter, far poorer, and far more desperate than the open sea. Most pirates begin life as children who had almost nothing. Fishing villages where the tide carried more hope than the land. Crowded port cities where the rich walked past hungry kids without a glance. Boys and girls who slept on floors, in alleys, or in cramped wooden shacks that smelled of salt, sweat, and rotting nets. Their earliest memories weren't of adventure, but of survival, and that shaped everything they would later become. Some grew up watching their fathers work themselves to the bone, hauling rope and crates for pennies. Others saw family members taken by disease or hunger long before they reached adulthood. A few were beaten into the trade by cruel captains or sold into ship labor because a starving parent had no choice. Childhood wasn't a warm memory for them. It was the fire that forged the outlaw inside. And in these hard places, children learned quickly that nobody gave them anything for free. They learned to fight, to steal, to run, to lie when necessary, and to trust only those who proved themselves. They learned that the sea, as dangerous as it was, offered something the land never did: a chance. If you were lucky enough to climb aboard a ship, any ship, you at least had work, food, and purpose. Many became cabin boys, scrubbing decks until their fingers bled. Others mended rails or ran messages. A few people were trapped under brutal captains who treated the young boys as tools and not humans. By their mid-teens, these kids knew more suffering than most people see in a lifetime. That suffering grew into anger, and anger mixed with hunger, mixed with the lure of freedom, mixed with the terrible truth that the world had already thrown them away. Well, that combination created something dangerous, something sharp, and something that was an outlaw. When rumors spread about pirate ships paying real money, dividing treasure fairly, and letting men vote on leadership, that dream grew louder. A ship where the abused could become equals. A ship where nobody would be feared. A ship where a starving kid could suddenly taste gold. Their childhoods didn't push them away from society. They launched them like a cannonball. And when the moment finally came, when an opportunity to join a rogue crew appeared, many didn't hesitate. They climbed aboard with nothing but the clothes on their backs and the scars of their past, and never looked back. The beginning of a pirate's life, not glory, not adventure, but escape. Escape from poverty, from cruelty, and from silence. The outlaw wasn't born at sea, he was born in childhood. Most modern stories paint pirate life as a wild freedom, but the real day today was a brutal grind. The ocean didn't care about your hunger, your exhaustion, or your dreams of gold. It punished everything. A pirate's morning began sunrise. The deck was cold, slick, and hard beneath bare feet. The air smelled like wet rope, sweat, and stale rum. Men coughed themselves awake, stretched aching backs, and prepared for another day of physical labor. Fixing rails, scraping barnacles, hauling heavy cargo, repairing rope that snapped during the night, every minute of the day demanded effort. Food was plain at best and rotten at worst. Hardened biscuits filled with bugs, salted pork that had turned gray, water that smelled like barrel mold. Rum became the cure for everything: thirst, wounds, fear, boredom, and nightmares. Many pirates were half drunk more than half sober. Storms were constant enemies. Walls of water slammed against the ship and tossed men like toys. Thunder cracked above the masts. Rain stung like needles. If you were unlucky, a wave could sweep you overboard in an instant. And once you fell into the dark, violent sea, the crew could rarely save you. The ship would just sail on as if you had never been there at all. Disease roamed the decks like a silent predator. Scurvy swelled gums until the teeth fell out. Infections spread from minor cuts. Fevers killed men within days. There were no doctors, only whoever knew the most about wounds. Surgery often meant biting down on leather while someone sawed off a limb with a rust-covered blade. And still, somehow, the pirates laughed. They joked, they played dice, they sang crude songs and passed the time telling stories that grew larger with every retelling. Brotherhood formed through shared misery. You trust the man who works beside you because your life depends on him when the cannons roared. The code wasn't just a legend, it was survival. Every crew lived by rules they voted on. No man stole from another. No man drew steel without cause. Treasure was divided fairly, and if a dispute rose too high, the men settled it on deck in front of everyone. Pirate life was freedom, yes, but it was the harshest freedom you could imagine. Then came the moments that defined them, the hunt for ships fat with cargo, the tension before conflict, the pounding of boots on the deck, the rushing wind, the sharp order to run up the colors, the black flag announcing death or surrender. The air always shifted when a pirate crew spotted a merchant ship on the horizon. Hearts racing, hands tightened, and pistols and cutlasses at the ready. Men checked their powder, tied back their hair, and waited for orders. The captain's voice cut through the rising wind, and the chase began. The sails snapped, and ropes groaned under the strain as the pirate ship lunged forward. Every man moved with purpose. Some climbed the rigging like acrobats, adjusting sails to catch every breath of wind. Others pushed the cannons into position, ready to roar fire across the sea. The moment the pirate ship drew close enough, the real chaos began. Cannons blasted iron balls through wooden hulls, splinters exploding into the air like deadly knives. Men screamed orders, ducked behind barrels, and fought to keep the ship steady. When the grappling hooks flew, everything turned personal. Pirates swarmed across the gap between ships, swinging on ropes or leaping abroad with weapons in hand. Combat was close, desperate, and loud. Pistols fired once and then were tossed aside. Knives and cutlasses did the real work. Every heartbeat was a fight to survive. But pirates weren't bloodthirsty monsters. They preferred surrender. A ship taken without battle meant fewer injuries, fewer deaths, and more treasure intact. Most merchant crews dropped weapons when they saw the black flag rise high. Victory brought cheers, laughter, and relief. Once the ship was theirs, the pirates searched every hold, chest, and barrel. Gold, silver, spices, cloth, and rum. Anything valuable was piled onto their own deck. They worked fast, knowing that the patrol ships could appear at any moment. But after every victory came the reminder of what failure looked like. Pirates killed in battle were sewn into their hammocks, with the last stitch through their nose, ensuring they were truly dead, before being sent to the sea they once ruled. The ocean became a graveyard for men who had only ever wanted freedom. The stories make piracy sound exciting, but real battles were dirty, terrifying, and full of regret. Every man who survived knew his luck wouldn't last forever. Treasure kept men going. Gold coins glimmered like sunlight trapped in metal. Silver bars clinked with the promise of comfort. Silk, spices, and stolen jewels made even the poorest pirate feel like a king. But the treasure was also the seed of betrayal. Crews trusted one another, but greed whispered in every shadow and in every ear. Men hid coins in boots or stitched them into clothing. Some buried secret stashes on islands, scared another pirate might cut their throat while they sleep. The ocean was full of men who trusted the wrong friend. Treasure hunts were never clean adventures, they were violent gambles. Maps were rarely perfect, storms erased landmarks. Sometimes the treasure wasn't treasure at all, but an empty chest left by a captain who died with the truth locked in his skull. And when real treasure was found, tensions rose instantly. Arguments broke out over shares. Rum fueled fights. Men accused each other of lying or hoarding the treasure. The captain had to keep order or risk mutiny. Many crews tore themselves apart long before any Navy ship found them. Treasure may have lifted pirates out of poverty, but it also dragged them towards madness. Each coin felt like a step toward freedom, or toward the hangman's noose. Every pirate knew that the end waited for them if captured. A rope around their neck. Port cities across the world held public hangings meant to scare young men from joining outlaw crews. Crowds would gather early, filling the docks. Children sat on their fathers' shoulders. Traders paused their work. Soldiers guarded the wooden platform while priests whispered the last rites. When the pirates were marched out in chains, they often held their heads high. Some shouted curses at the crowd. Others laughed, pretending to fear nothing. A few stayed silent, staring at the horizon where they once lived freely. With the rope scratching against the skin, the trapdoor creaked. The silence before the drop always felt endless. And when the platform opened, the world watched the final chapter of their story end in a single heartbeat. Many pirates' bodies were left hanging for days. A warning, a message, a final humiliation to men who once ruled the ocean. But death didn't erase their lives. Stories spread faster than any ship. Tales of treasure, rebellion, childhood struggles, wild battles, and last stand at sea passed from port to port. Some stories exaggerated, some softened, some twisted, but all survived. The outlaw pirate truly never died. He became a legend, a symbol of freedom to the poor, a symbol of danger to the rich, a reminder that even those born in hardship could rise to shake the world if only for a moment. And somewhere, buried deep beneath the sand of the sea, a few chests of stolen gold still rest where outlaws' hands once hid them, waiting to be found and opened.